Well, Mayor Osmond, thank you very much for that kind introduction. It's a real pleasure to be here with such a large crowd today. I had no idea so many people were interested in opportunity zones in Aiken, so it's a great policy. So let me make some brief comments here. When I first heard about the passage of the Opportunity Zone program in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I was both excited and nostalgic. Excited because of the free market approach to revitalizing depressed neighborhoods, and nostalgic because of the similarity with Jack Kemp's enterprise zone proposals from nearly 40 years ago. Let me explain. During the 1980s, Congressman Jack Kemp from Buffalo, New York, was something of a hero to me. During my college years, I avidly followed his political career, and like a rock star groupie, I saw him speak at many forums and seminars and thought him the natural heir to President Ronald Reagan. Even when Kemp spoke on topics that some might find dull, such as the gold standard, his passion, energy, and enthusiasm enthralled me. Policy matters. And his enthusiasm for the right combination of incentives to foster economic growth was contagious. For Kemp, conservatism and the free market were not code words for heartless corporatism or soulless materialism. Instead, he embraced the twin concepts of empowerment and freedom. To Kemp, it was government, even a rhetorically compassionate government, that held people down. Only through freedom, liberty, and capitalism could human potential be fully realized. Jack Kemp did not write about enterprise zones in his 1979 manifesto, An American Renaissance. But he struck a refreshing tone of conservative optimism. He wanted to strike down the barriers to opportunity and saw tax reform as a powerful tool of liberation. One thing he understood, and understood well: incentives matter. And as Kemp tirelessly reminded us, a rising tide lifts all boats. By 1981, his thinking had crystallized. True to form, his plan for enterprise zones had many moving pieces focused on tax incentives. For businesses in depressed areas bounded by geographically defined zones, there would be reductions in Social Security payroll taxes, reductions in capital gains taxes, and reductions in business income taxes. In addition, he favored accelerated depreciation on incorporated capital. Jack Kemp's vision was never implemented in his lifetime. Things called enterprise zones were established here and there, but they were never fully embraced. But now with Senator Tim Scott's opportunity zones, we see something similar to Kemp's ideas. Obviously, the opportunity zones envisioned and enacted through Senator Scott's leadership are different. The key difference is the heavy reliance on capital gains tax incentives. First, taxes on realized capital gains invested in opportunity zones are deferred and may be reduced under certain circumstances. Second, if the investment in the opportunity zone is maintained for 10 years or more, then the gains accrued on the investment will not be subject to federal taxes. Wow! Think about it. This is really powerful stuff. The opportunity zones not only encourage the realization of existing capital gains, but gains made on the investment of capital gains are themselves given tax breaks. And imagine this: these investments and the resulting economic growth will be facilitated through the private sector. As a non-coercive approach, it avoids the evils of the command economy and dodges the cold, heavy hand of direct government intervention. The decision-making and risk remains in private hands, but the benefits are meant to be targeted where most needed. If Jack Kemp were alive today, I'm sure he would approve. But consider further how these mighty incentives can be combined with other existing programs. For example, the fee in lieu of tax program through the state of South Carolina and implemented by the counties, including Aiken County, is a time-tested method for facilitating manufacturing and industrial development. By reducing property taxes on industry based on objective investment and job creation criteria, it can attract high-quality investment and high-paying jobs without necessarily risking taxpayer money. So imagine if an industry could take advantage of an opportunity zone to reduce capital gains taxes and the fee in lieu program to reduce property taxes. This would be a powerful 1-2 punch for economic development. And again, based on the free market without the government picking winners and losers. Within Aiken County, we have 3 designated opportunity zones that were nominated by Governor Henry McMaster and certified by the Treasury Department. You can see the map here on the right, if you haven't, shows the zones that have been created. These are low-income census tracts, or contiguous to low-income census tracts, and are a mixture of the urban, the suburban, and the rural. Moving west to east, we have one in the city of North Augusta, roughly from US 1 to Riverview Park, and from the Savannah River to Martintown Road. We have one in Beach Island, extending eastwards roughly from US 1 to Town Creek, and from US 278 to Pine Log Road and Richardson's Lake Road. And lastly, I think the one with the most interest here is the one in the city of Aiken, roughly from Vaucluse Road to Buford Street and from University Parkway and Rutland Drive to Richland Avenue. These zones in our county encompass thousands of people and thousands of acres. The potential facing us here in Aiken County is vast. Let us embrace the concept and see where it leads. But let us always keep our eye on the goal, to unleash entrepreneurial energies, to put to use underutilized resources, and to spur lasting and meaningful economic growth. We cannot predict what business activities will flourish under these conditions, but that's a good thing, else that would betray the controlling hand from the swamp. Let us create instead the conditions for prosperity, but not try to direct them towards selfish or ideological ends. Can Jack Kemp be called one of the spiritual grandfathers of opportunity zones? I think so. His passion for using tax incentives to spur development in depressed areas lies behind them. Though the details are significantly different between enterprise zones and opportunity zones, I see a common thread in using tax incentives to develop areas in need. Clearly, a good idea may take a generation or two to be fully realized. But for opportunity zones, Senator Tim Scott is the father of the opportunity zones. He has seen the program become reality through the legislative process. And there are now thousands of such zones across the United States, and over 100 in South Carolina alone. Senator Scott's feat is a worthy and vastly important accomplishment. It may not receive breathless daily coverage in the mainstream media, but it will cement his legacy in the Senate and confirm Senator Scott's visionary leadership for years to come. At last, the time for a powerful and beneficial idea has come. Thank you all very much.